So the Cleveland Browns last year, they played back-to-back divisional games in 2023 to start the season. This year, they don't play their first divisional opponent until Week 7 when they play the Cincinnati Bengals. Are you all more of a fan of the divisional games being on the front end of the schedule, right where it's at right now, or maybe on the back end?
Well, you guys weren't here yesterday. You haven't had a chance to respond to the schedule at all.
I'll say I love it. I love it. I don't like the first and second weeks being against your divisional opponents.
Right.
2 reasons. One, not that the preseason is gone. Let's face it. You're not working out any kinks in the preseason anymore.
No.
Weeks 1 through 4, you don't know what the hell you're going to get.
Right.
I don't like playing those key pivotal games that really count for 2 in the first part of the season. The second half of that is when you play them later in the year. I know all games count the same in the standings, but that's garbage. We all know that the urgency in week 14 and 15 far exceeds the urgency in week 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. I want those big head-to-head divisional matchups later in the season when, you always say iron sharpens iron. I want the best teams from divisions going into the postseason.
Yeah.
That means you got to be best at the end of the season because that slingshots you into the playoffs. So for me, I'm all for it. I love playing those divisional games. The later, the better. We almost always end on a divisional game.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way it should be.
In fact, the Browns don't play a road divisional game until, I believe, week 12. Their first 3 division games are all at home. And then they play
Which means they better win them because those last 3, that's tough currency to get.
You're going to chalk them up.
What about you, G?
I love the fact that you get an opportunity to kind of, get out there. I don't like losing. It could be a double-edged sword. If you come out, it's almost a coin flip, right, the first few games of the year. Because who you are in the first part of the year is not who you are in the second part of the year. It's just, and then also you got injuries at the later part of the year, right? So some of them teams, yes, they look like they're tough teams, but they've been through 12, 13, 14 weeks. Now you got key people out, quarterbacks may be out.
So do you, potentially.
Yeah, so do you.
I mean, you never know.
So for me, the sweet spot is right in the middle, right? You get some of these games that is non-divisional games to kind of work some things out. And really, the only way you can guarantee yourself a first-round playoff game or a playoff game at home is if you win your division, right?
Sure.
And so some of that stuff to me in the front part, you want to win those games, and you might want to do some things against the NFC because you want to get off to a good start. But the real test is winning those division games. So if I can get those week 7 where we are at our peak performance, we probably have a lot of guys that are still healthy. I want to see you when I'm healthiest. I want to see you when I got my people together, and then we can go from there. So I like the fact that they don't really see anybody, as far as the division goes. But by the way, 12 through 18 on paper is crazy.
Well,
it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Speaking of which, guys, let's break. Earl, if you could do it one at a time. The 4 chunks of the schedule. It's fascinating to me, the Browns schedule. Because if you look at the first chunk, the first 5 games of the season, are we able to do that?
There you go.
Okay, sorry. If you look at the first 5 games of the season, this is fairly favorable, right? I know 3 games are on the road.
I think that's the easiest
part
of their
you're
schedule.
Playing, the Giants, Raiders, and Commanders are 3 of the easiest teams on your schedule.
Right.
Now, on paper. We never know how the season's going to go. So, like the first chunk of the season, pretty favorable.
I think so.
Now let's look at chunk 2. Chunk 2 is a hard schedule.
Well, really, I think from here on out, it's
now
brutal.
I think hold on one second, because like here you got Jalen Hurts, assuming guys are healthy.
Yeah.
Hurts, Burrow, Lamar, Herbert, and I know the Chargers. We don't know how good they are, but we know they got a good quarterback.
And we also know now that they have a good coach.
They now have a good coach. Correct. Now the third chunk a little easier, not easy, but a little easier when you go to the third chunk, because the one thing, even though we know the Steelers are good, you don't play any very good quarterbacks in this 4-game stretch, right? The Saints, Derek Carr, you got either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, and the Broncos got a rookie probably by that point in the season.
Sure.
And then the fourth chunk is back like chunk 2.
Wow.
Is crazy, because then you got Mahomes, Burrow, Tua, Lamar.
It's unreal.
Those 2 chunks. Now, really, from week 6 on, the Browns schedule is very tough, because we know the Steelers are tough. But in terms of quarterbacks, it's like they play Lamar and Lawrence in the beginning, then 3 weeks against bad quarterbacks, then 4 weeks against good quarterbacks, then 4 weeks against mediocre bad quarterbacks, then 4 weeks again against really good quarterbacks. It's challenging.
Throw them
no
last
doubt.
four up, Steve. The last little chunk right here.
Yeah.
This is when you get to
That's as hard as it gets.
That's battling for home field.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens. That's all, and the Browns throw them in there if they're at that point. That's all for home field right there.
2 divisional games, 2 games against teams that will be in the top 2 or 3 to win
Their
the
division.
AFC.
Yeah, right.
In the Bengals and the Chiefs, I think most teams are going to have, and the Dolphins and the. I mean, that is the hardest close to a season that I can remember during my Browns fandom.
Well, if you look at your easiest game in a 4-game stretch being the Dolphins at home, that's
and they're going to win their division. I pick them.
they have a good chance.
They're
in the mix. Sure, yeah.
That's for home.
That's a tough schedule. But listen. Here's the thing.
That's what you want.
And I've said this before, Jay. When you have a good team, and now we don't know. We know the Browns, or I think the Browns are a good team.
Yeah.
I think they can be a great team. That's up to Watson.
Sure.
Whether they're good or great. When you're a good team and you're a real contender, it shouldn't matter who you play.
I agree with that.
It shouldn't matter.
Bring it.
If they're a good team, which they probably will be, if they're a great team because Deshaun Watson's really good again, they can play with anybody. They can win a Super Bowl.
That's right.
If you're that kind of team, that's getting you ready.
Bull, to your point,
Yeah.
nobody in Kansas City is hand-wringing over their schedule.
They don't care.
And in Cincinnati, they likely aren't.
They don't care.
It's look when you reach that point where you consider yourself a Super Bowl contender.
That's right.
Bring anybody, anywhere. I'll play anybody,
Doesn't
anywhere,
matter.
anytime. It doesn't matter. And I hope that's the way the Browns are looking at this. Now, the interesting thing about what you point out with how you break the season into quarters, it almost plays out like a football game. The first and third quarters, you have room for error there.
Yes.
You've got plenty of football to make it up. The second and fourth quarters, that's where your money is made.
Yeah.
That's where you win football games.
That's it.
Try to get that double score going into halftime, where if you get the ball to start the third quarter, you want to work things in the second quarter so you get one long possession, you get a touchdown, you get the ball to start the third quarter. So there's a lot of maneuvering in the second quarter and the fourth quarter. It plays out almost like a football game.
And I think 2 things that I got my eye on. One, the fact that the Browns get to play all 3 division teams at home first, I think is a big advantage for them.
Why?
I love being able to play my rivals at home before I have to play them on the road.
See, it's funny. I looked at it the
opposite way.
I looked at it the other way.
Yeah.
Late in the season, we're all chasing wins.
Right, and then late in the season, you got to play on the road.
You'd rather have those games, in my view, at home because if you go on the road and steal one early in the year, now you're house money.
I feel like you can build those wins up early.
I hope so. Is anybody going to do that in the AFC, though? Nobody's going to run away.
And the question is, what have we talked about with Myles Garrett? He's never good in December. He's great in September.
Oh, boy.
He's great in October.
I didn't even think of that.
He's okay in November, and he's been kind of non-existent in December.
He's been
that can't
well
happen
below
this year.
his averages.
The numbers are stark.
Yes.
I mean, it's a huge difference. That's got to change this year. They need him. They're not winning those games if he's not good.
No, you're right.
I think Myles Garrett's the least of my worries. I'm worried about Deshaun Watson.
Well, Deshaun Watson. I heard Solomon Wilcots, who's a neutral guy, right?
That's the guy.
Solomon Wilcots is on NFL radio this morning, and I happened to tune it on as they were talking about the Browns schedule. And he said, the Browns are an excellent football team. He goes, my only question about the Browns, is Deshaun Watson.
Well, that is it.
That's what he said. And this is not from us.
Yeah.
This is a neutral guy.
Sure. I mean, look at last year with 5 quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks. They willed their way to the playoffs.
Right.
You can't do that unless you're really solid on the defensive line, on the defensive backfield, with wide receivers and running backs moving the football no matter who's in there. I agree with Solomon. I think that there's one big question coming into this season. Which Deshaun Watson are we going to see?
Right. I mean, what else do you have concern? I mean, you can say injuries, but that's any team. Any team you're going to be worried about.
Yeah, and Nick Chubb, obviously, because he's got an existing injury.
Sure, but
so he's a concern.
But at least they've added some veteran backs this year that have had some success in the league. They're not Nick Chubb.
No.
But they've had, and hopefully, I would think by the second half of the season at least he's going to be.
I hope so.
I think the biggest game on that schedule is game 1 for the Cowboys. Because if Deshaun Watson comes out and the Browns play well, he put up some numbers, it'll calm everybody.
You want to get off
that
because Dallas is a good regular season team.
It's Skip Bayless, Stephen A.,
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody is talking about that. That's the Cowboys at the Browns. You got an opportunity to shut a lot of people up because if you come out and play well,
Yeah.
I think that calms down the media, that calms down the fans, and I think that you got good mojo going into winnable games underneath that.
And by the way, I know, Jay, you're very old school when it comes to football, so maybe you're going to disagree with this. I would much rather, I'm not going to say in a loss, but I would much rather have the Browns win a 38-35 game against the Cowboys where Deshaun throws 4 touchdowns and 350 yards than win a 12-10 game and he looks like crap. I would rather the defense look bad in week 1 because I know the defense is good. If they have a bad week against Dak, I'm not worried about it. I want Deshaun to look great. They got to win. But if you're telling me the defense is going to suck, but Deshaun's going to be great in week 1 and the Browns win, or the defense is going to be great, Deshaun sucks, but the Browns find a way to win it, I'll feel better about this team.
Long term. I actually do agree with that. Now, look, there's no substitute for winning.
I know.
Sure, it's got to be a win.
Tony Dungy once said, if I could find a way to win 1-0, I would. And I'd be fine with that. But I will agree with this. Because so much of this season is predicated on the return of a once great quarterback, we need him to be great at all costs.
Right.
We need him to be consistent. We need him to be confident. So
That's
even
right.
if they do lose 38-35, but he's got 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, that confidence is there.
I was saying a win, but if he plays great in week 1, yes, we're all going to go, okay, maybe he's back.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That 350, I'd take it a step further.
I think G got excited when I said that.
If you said he got 350 and 4 touchdowns and they just happened to lose because Dak Prescott made some plays on the last drive.
Yeah, I'll live with that. I'll live with that.
I'm in here. They say, G. Bush, come on, you can't do that. Whatever. It's a long season, and it was against a team in the NFC. We got everything ahead of us, bro.
Now, on the flip side, the disaster is they come in, get boat raced, 41-12, and Watson.
Yeah, that's a disaster.
No.
Then you're really looking at everything saying, where's this team?
Yeah.
That can't happen.
That
cannot happen.
I say I can't wait for football season because I can't, but I also hate rushing the summer.
Yeah,
it's a catch-22.
I'm with you.
But man, can't wait.
It's going to be fun.
Every day, we'll be back 5 days.